What is up, YouTube? McIntyre here. Today I wanted to bring you guys a new updated why do we pick it for the Probius meta. Essentially in this video I'm just going to talk about certain heroes, and you can see I have a write-up. I'll link that write-up in the description. It's also on my tier list anyways, you can just click on it. But essentially I'm going to go over these bullet points or write-ups, I guess. I'm going to talk more on the write-ups. So if you want to just read this right now, you can click on the link, just read it. You don't have to listen to me talk. But I will say that I'm going to talk a little bit more than what these points are, right? So watching the video will provide you more information on the heroes. But if you want the quick, easy information, you can just go look at it right now. So we're just going to jump into it. The first part of this is going to be talking about Taz Zarya. So Taz Zarya maps, they are strong on all maps. Just so happens that Taz and Zarya are really good at breaking channels, for example, on Cursed or Towers of Doom. They're also really good at posturing on Sky Temple. They're decent at wave clear and pushing on Dragonshire. Braxis, Zarya is king of Braxis. And Taz ain't too bad either if you put on a hyper carry, right? So really, they just have no map weaknesses. I mean, you could say BOE, but even on BOE, they're pretty good. Taz can double soak on BOE. He's the split soaker, right? Zarya is fairly good at poking and protecting on BOE. The reason that they would be weak there is because they don't really provide a lot of race. But, they provide other things. So that's the only map I would say that they're maybe not strong on. But, you could slap a Zarya Vala on BOE and then you're probably in business. But basically what they do is they protect the squishy backline, which we were just talking about with the Vala. But they also provide utility and frontline potential. So with Zarya, for example, she does stand kind of towards the front and can shield herself. She provides utility in her expulsion zone. Expulsion's really good for zoning. It's really good for getting a pick, right? It's good on follow-up. You can keep someone from retreating. You can keep someone from killing you. You can expulsion yourself, expulsion a teammate. A lot of different things there. And then you have Taz providing a front line in the sense that he can Archon. And when he's Archon, he becomes a melee assassin, let's say, right? Just a juiced up ranged assassin. Which slows, right? His utility comes from his slow, his auto attack. And he can do that even without Archon, but just a little auto attack, that little dinky laser, a lot of the time helps with, let's say, Lunara and her 13 talent. When a target's slowed, it deals more damage. Turns out that Taz permanently slows. Wow. Perfect synergy, right? So both provide some sort of utility and frontline. They also obviously protect with their shields. So with the buff to Archon, both heroes are now able to use and provide shields and deal damage themselves. All right, and that's why they're so good. Zarya with her energy and her grenades, and then Taz with his Archon. They also allow you to pick weaker. This is, I think, the most important part. They allow you to pick weaker utility supports because their shields are so powerful that you can take like Brightwing Lucio, things like that. That like normally their healing numbers aren't that great, but having these guys around really helps them. Or you just take Malf, who has incredible sustain healing, and then you provide a little bit of burst healing because you have Taz Zarya, right? So honestly, they don't go bad anywhere. Anywhere they don't go bad. They just always make a comp better. And you honestly could do what some teams have done. I don't really, say you should, but you can just take Taz and Zarya and then just have a protect the one comp and have that one person just suicide a lot and then never die because they have so many shields, so much protection. So the difference between the two, Taz provides wave clear, in my opinion. Taz provides wave clear, and Zarya provides tank potential and push potential. Okay, so I say that in the sense that on Braxis, for example, Zarya standing on a point is going to be much harder to kill than Taz is, right? But on a map like BOE, Zarya can't really walk down to the bottom lane, push it out, and then rotate. She can, but it takes her a little bit. She might have to use all 4 of her grenades, for example. Whereas Taz can storm the wave, and then rotate, right? So that's the difference between the two, honestly. I mean, it's a preference thing. I honestly think Tass is stronger than Zarya, but they both are very good and kind of achieve the same thing. So our next is going to be Lucio. So Lucio is good on all maps as long as your comp makes sense. So don't just take him because you want to play Lucio. But if you have a Zarya, if you have a Tass, if your comp is sustainable, right? Like if you have a Thrall and an Arthas as your front line, and then you have a Chromie and a Vala, right? You can take Lucio there. But basically, Lucio is, for me, a utility support. So before, people have complained about like supports don't have enough utility. They're just heal bots, and like Lucio to me feels much more like a utility support because of his move speed. Being able to provide that, also his Q, being able to push people away. Both of those things, allow you to have a little more fun in a team fight, I guess you should say. You also have your shield at 10 to stop wombos and just stop burst completely. So let's say Li Ming's trying to get a reset and you hit that, she commits to the reset, and now you've outplayed her. You have a potential to outplay, right? It's kind of like a D shield for all your team in the last 6 seconds. He also helps people get around the map and get away, and that's kind of comes more with his utility. But I say that in the sense that if your team's caught, most of the time as support you can only cleanse them, and that's it. But Lucio, you can walk up, speed them, activate, amp it up, and they get away. Most of the time they'll get away there, and that's something cool that most supports don't have. And I honestly think we'll continue to see Lucio rise as Tass. As long as Tass and Zarya exist in the game, he's just going to be strong because they pair so nicely with him. They protect him, he protects them. He provides utility for them, they provide utility for him. I mean, like a Zarya with move speed. We've all, like, if you've played Overwatch before, even, like, these two together in Overwatch are insane. And now they've created that same sort of coexistence in heroes with these heroes. Is like Zarya, very low mobile, or very low mobility, tanky, can hold her ground, can protect a point, and then you have Lucio who, gives that mobility, and then can still heal and make sure that Zarya doesn't die, right? So these two are just insane together. Tass is really good. Archon, yeah, it's crazy. But he does have a weakness. Is he has no cleanse. So if you can punish the no cleanse, then you can get away with it. Just so happens that Zarya gets cleansed at 16 on her shield, so good luck. But yeah, he has no cleanse, so Stunlock does work to some extent against him, and you can kill him too. The only problem with that is he has wall run, which is really difficult to hit him and land skills. But, if you do find lockdown on him, you most of the time can kill him. Or if you find lockdown on another person, and this is why, like, for example, my team started playing heroes like Chromie, and even I went Sylvanas mind control one game, was because, like, you could potentially mind control against Lucio. The only problem is if he sees the mind control, he could speed up, run in, and shoot the Sylv that's channeling, and then run out. Like, however, you still could try to punish no cleanse, right? That's what you want to do against the Lucio, is try to punish the fact that he has no cleanse, right? So, the other thing I think that's really good against Lucio is actually Gul'dan, because of his fear. Because Lucio speeds up, right? If you fear when his speeds up, he'll be faster as he runs away. You can split their enemy team a lot better. The next hero that I want to talk about is Arthas. I mean, there's not really much to say about him. He's really strong on small rotation maps like D-Shire and Tomb, stuff like that, right? He's very good at brawling. He's very good at scrapping with the enemy team. So if you want to fight, Arthas is really good at that. He's hard to kill. He has CC. He has a permanent slow. He does pretty good damage. So I say he's the new variant of the scene. Maybe I'm over-exaggerating, but he feels like it. His W is very hard to miss, honestly, and as you level up the talents or the quest and achieve the quest, it gets even harder to miss. Really, the thing for me with him is they added that attack speed debuff. So now if you're trying to brawl with Arthas, you just can't because he's slowing your attack to the point that you're not even really hitting him anymore. Like even on heroes like Zeratul, like I'll walk up, hit bomb, activate it, crit him, then Q, then that second crit like is like barely punches him. And I've barely been in his E, right? I just activated bomb. I just Q'd. I've autoed him once, right? And it's like that second auto is so slow. So that's why he's so hard to kill. Add on the 7 talent, Icebound Fortitude, 75% CC reduction. He has a cleanse for himself. Essentially, it's a self cleanse. He's just really hard to kill with ghouls out too. He shines really well with utility hero as his base. Sustain is already high enough. So again, Lucio, Tassar, and move speed. Zarya with move speed shield. It turns out Zarya can take move speed shield. A lot of people forgot that. I think it's a 4 talent, but she can provide move speed on shield. So if you just give him a little bit of utility, then Arthas will just kill everyone. And you can see, like, I have a video where I'm playing with my subs and we're playing Team League, and we play to protect the Arthas comp. And we just had Arthas with 4 supports, and Arthas killed everything. Because you just can't, it's very hard to stop this hero at this point. So for that reason, I believe he is meta. The next hero we want to talk about is the Anu Barak. He's the new anti-mage tank. I think like Tyrael was kind of the anti-mage before because he could be sink and stop the wombo, but now a noob can just dive backline, dive the mages, and just tank everything. He's got pretty safe engage. He's got safe disengage. He got the magic armor change, plus he got some health, and he changed his kit up, so his ability to solo backline is even better now. They decreased the cooldown on his E base. That's a really good buff. And he's really good at big maps, particularly because he can, even small maps really, but big maps, you can punish teams for rotating off of you. So a noob, because of the beetles, he can just split push really well, right? And if you have like a noob plus Greymane, for example, and the other team's not defending it, you guys will get a fort before the enemy team rotates to you on like Curse Hollow. But it also works on like D-Shire too, I guess. If you clear out mid lane, then rotate bot, and then push bot in, then the enemy team has to collapse, and you're already pushing. So, but a noob's really safe because, he's got his Q. That's a good stun, knock up, plus slow. If you take beta barbs, and then you have your E to get out, to engage if you want to fully commit. Pretty good sustain with Locust Swarm, plus damage. He's just really good, right? And he can punish those rotations on those big maps. He's also really powerful at poking objectives and absorbing poke. So like Leeming, if you're playing BoE and you have a noob, you can just block all of her magic damage. And most of the time you won't take any damage at all. I think a really good hero if the enemy team has those mages. The next we want to talk about is the Dahaka. Dahaka is good on all maps except fight maps. I say Infernal and BoE here. And the reason for that is, because the Haka is a global, he doesn't want to have to fight. He wants your team to be able to stall while he gets value, if that makes sense, right? Like Sky Temple, I guess, could also be a fight map. But essentially, like on a Towers of Doom map, for example, you can split soak the 2 lanes while your team pokes at the objective. Or Curse Hollow, for example, you can split while their team pokes the objective. Or Dragonshire. Dragonshire is good. It's a fight map, but because the map's so wide, the Haka can be top, the enemy can be top, and then you can collapse and make a 4v5. That's also good. But the keyword has always been global with him. He affects the game state with the ability to be anywhere on the map, right? This is what's always given the Haka an edge in competitive pods. And you pair this with the wave clear that he has and his split pushing power, and you've got the Haka. You basically split push or, push a top lane into somebody until you have an ability to flank with a dig, and then you dig in and you fight. My thing that I have here too is it's important to remember that with the Haka, you're essentially a punching bag. Like your idea in a team fight is to be a punching bag. So you want to hit your ultimates, absorb all the damage, And while you're taking that damage, your team's dealing damage to them. And obviously, if your W's up and stuff, you're damaging them as well. But like, you honestly take way more damage than any other hero in the game, because you have your souls at with your D with your passive, you have adaptation with your R, and you can just E at any point in time to get out, right? So you can soak up like I don't even know the number, probably like 10,000 damage if you hit all your cooldowns correctly. So you're absorbing 10,000 damage while your team hopefully is putting out 10,000 damage. And yeah, that's basically what the Haka does. You also have the ability to mark with 13 to apply more damage from your team's damage. So it's always important to try to find the flank, get onto the back line, pressure the back line off. If you can pressure the back line off, then hopefully your team gets on their front line and you can kill their front line before you die as your team's front line. So we have our 2 range damage now. The first one's going to be Chromie. Chromie's good on all maps except BOE. She's just not very good at racing. Because I think burst damage to me has become a thing since the TAS Zarya. Because a lot of the time you have to have damage to either kill over the shield or to kill a target off the shield. And for me, Chromie has done that. So it's like if TAS shields Vala, then I aim my skills at TAS, right? Because he can't shield himself now because the Vala has been shielded. Since the change to the TAS shield, you can't 100% retain it. He's only going to shield one target, so I personally like Chromie for that reason. I mean, also, you know, if TAS is giving Vala shields and I combo Vala, then most of the time that damage, if it all hits, will push over the TAS shield. So that's another reason why I like Chromie. But, I mean, honestly, the fact that the damage that Chromie does sticks to TAS, since they changed it, they can't E anymore to heal, right? Damaging TAS now is a viable strategy, because he's going to have to get healed or he's just going to stay low, you know? And since Archon exists now, like, if you can get a TAS to force Archon to have to E out or something, then you've won, right? That's a win situation. You know, she also, you know, Chromie in particular also provides utility in her Sands and Time ultimate, right? So you have your Sands, which is just AoE slow for like melee stacks. Like if the enemy team has the Haka and Arthas and you throw the Sands down, then that's something they have to make their way through. And you can get tons of damage on them there. Or, you know, if the other team has Lucia and you go Time, then you can just pop it on her and then drop your combo because he doesn't have cleanse, right? So it's a good way to punish the Lucio. And if your team has enough damage on that Vala, even if they give her TAS shield, Lucio ult, like the whole 9, you know? If your team has enough damage follow up on that, then you can push through all of that shields. Like, especially with Chromie. Chromie does like 3,000 damage in a second. So, I mean, for me too, she's just an overall safe mage. You should never get killed as Chromie if you position correctly, as long as the other team doesn't have like Falstad or Dahaka maybe. But even then, you can position correctly to if Falstad flies behind, then you can, you know, ice block it, ice block his gust, and then duel him, or, you know, get gusted in with your team, then ice block. There's a lot of different ways that you can survive those situations. So, but she just has really good poke and excellent follow-up. And so now Lunara, this is a new addition, says your worst new nightmare is here, and the Eastern Clash showed her off. And I honestly didn't look at Lunara this way until the Eastern Clash, but I think since all the range are starting to get nerfed, Lunara is slowly making her way to the top. The reason for this is we have Splinter Spheres at 7 plus the slow damage at 13. These two together are incredibly powerful at poking the enemy team. Again, this works so well against TAS. We were just talking with Chromie, you want to damage the TAS. Well, this is going to damage the TAS. It's going to damage the tank. It's going to damage the healer. And it's going to damage the Vala, right? And they're all going to get slowed. And they're all going to feel pressured. So Lunara is just the queen of sustained damage, right? I have at the bottom, Lunara is the definition of sustained damage. Because she is. She just deals sustained damage. Her problem is that she has a hard time killing. So adding an execution hero when you have Lunara is, I think, really powerful. I think we saw with MVP Black, they would do Lunara with either a Zeratul or a Valera. And that's your execution hero, right? You get heroes poked down to 20, 50, 40%, and then those heroes come in and clean up and get the kill. So Lunara does that really well. And I was talking about in my tier list video, Lunara is essentially Vala. Like, if you think about it, because she has a 20% move speed base, and Vala gets that when she gets 10 stacks. You know, and then you tack on Lucio speed passive or TAS speed shield on her, and you know, now she has 50, 60% because it's base move speed rather than a buffed move speed. So it's an additive move speed, right? So you can be going 40 or 60% move speed or 50, 60, yeah, 50% move speed, right? Unlike Vala, where it'd be, you know, I think it's multiplicative maybe with the TAS shield. Maybe I'm wrong about this, but I figured since Lunara has base speed, it's like giving like Rhaegar move speed. When he's wolf form, he goes a lot faster. But yeah, more or less, like the idea here is that you have a really quick hero and then you give her more speed, and she's really hard to hit even. And you can just go in, Splinter Spear, stack it up, hit your W, slow him, you know, and then you have Leaping Strike even to actually find the pick, play aggressive. Yeah, I mean, I played Lunara like in Team League last night after I saw the Eastern Clash, and every game I had 100,000 damage plus. Every single game I had 100,000 damage. And I mean, this is Team League, right? But even then, just always having 100, like it was like 4 games I played of her, and every game I had 100,000 plus. Plus, like there was a game I had like 140,000 damage. So it's like, yeah, she just does absurd amounts of damage. Plus, she provides utility where they're slow. Like the slows actually mean something, and the vision with her E. So prepare to see her. She will come. She's probably here. I say get your free wins now while you can, before people figure out how to beat her. But until then, yeah, ride it out. But that's gonna be it for this little video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to throw a like, subscribe, and follow. You can always check me out on Twitch and Twitter. Those will both be located below. If you haven't looked at the tier list already, I'll put that up on the screen somewhere now, hopefully, and you can check that out. But until next time, guys, thank you all so much for the support, and I'll see you all next video. Cheers.